Welcome to the Parks and Recreational Board meeting for Monday, September 8th, 2025. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body, to the extent reasonably possible, to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means, and provide opportunity for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. Kristen, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Kate Cornelius. Here. Kim Agramson.
Here.
Eric Butler.
Here.
Nancy Turner.
Present.
And Ian Moore.
Present.
We have the board minutes from the June 9th meeting. Did anyone have anything that didn't look right or want corrected? It was really nice to read back through there on all of the police chiefs' responses, just kind of as a good memory jog. So anybody have any concerns? I would entertain a motion.
I motion we approve. This is Kate.
Kim Agramson motions to second.
Kate Cornelius.
Yes.
Kim Agramson.
Yes.
Eric Butler.
Yes.
Nancy Turner.
Present. Yes.
Ian Moore.
Yes.
Okay. So we have business from the staff.
Yes, thank you, Nancy and board. This is Silas Richardson, the Public Works Director. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a nice break there. I would say this summer we've been very busy and keeping up with all maintenance needs. Throughout the summer, we've been able to do a pretty good job with all of our trash pickup. We're hitting the parks, all parks, 2 days a week. We're able to mow our parks weekly, the irrigated fields, and then the non-irrigated, we've been mowing bi-weekly. Graffiti is still out there and we're cleaning up on a regular basis. We were able in August to do a pretty good full park cleanup at Meldrum Bar Park, including a lot of trimming and weeding of some invasive vegetation. Over the past couple months, we've done a lot with setting up for different events, community festival and the parade, as well as music on the greens, which I believe Friday is the last one for the summer. So that's going to be this Friday, and movies in the park. We've assisted quite a bit with the summer recreation programs, including stepping stones and picnic in the park, and marking the end of the summer recreation program. I think it was very successful. We assisted in preparation for some private events, some pickleball tournaments, as well as a church in the park event. And there's another event that's scheduled in September that we'll be working with. Unfortunately, at Meldrum, we've had some pretty big irrigation repairs that we've had to do. Some of the bell ends and the big pipelines are separating. The glue's basically failing. So we have done quite a few, and it's been a good group effort. We've been using our vac truck, which has really helped with the excavation to get down to the pipe quickly and get the fittings fixed. But successful on multiple repairs at Meldrum as well. Other than that, we're just taking care of routine maintenance. We also were able to do some nice painting at Max Patterson. I don't know if you saw it, the restrooms. We were able to do some painting there and get that ready for the community festival. The seasonal help this year has been great. And it was a very successful summer, I think, as far as keeping up with maintenance needs. So happy to report. Next on the agenda is to give you an update on the paved loop trail project at the Gladstone Nature Park. I just want to give kudos to the group at Public Works, Kristen, Travis, while I was out on vacation. The bid opening happened. Tomorrow at council, we should be giving a staff report recommending awarding a bid to a company. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but I think it was KNL. They're a paving construction company based out of, I think, Canby. They were low bid at, I think, around 94,000. So we're excited about that and moving forward with it. And as soon as we get that approved tomorrow, we'll move forward with the rest of the contract and get that moving with the hopes that we're done by maybe the end of October or November, as soon as possible. So it's be a neat addition to the park, and we're moving forward with it. The Nick Shannon Park.
Silas, I have a question real
Yes.
quick about Nature Park. What do you think the impact to park users will look like during that construction?
Well, I would say most park users will be disrupted a little bit, but it depends on when they use the park. I think if I always look at things like through my lens, I'm working 7 to 4 o'clock or 4:30, right? So if the majority of people are doing that, they probably won't see the construction activity, but they might see the remnants or the equipment staged. The new trail is currently a chip trail. So there'll be barricades, and we'll put up signs as much as possible to say don't go down the trail, or if you do, they're going to come up to active construction and we'll have to turn around and go back. So that'll be all barricaded up at the end of the day. But most of the park should be accessible. But you'll see staging areas, you'll see probably piles of materials. It could affect the parking lot a little bit with staging area of equipment and materials, but that will be the impact, the majority of, yeah. So it shouldn't really affect the use of the park. But it will to some degree, yes. Any other questions? Next on the agenda was the Nick Shannon Park. The survey, as we know, is complete. And I just want to mention that we're still working on trying to get some conceptual drawings. I wanted to mention that I've gone out and measured this site, the existing site, and it's a pretty big footprint, as you know. A lot of area that's a sandbox, so to speak. And the budget we have earmarked for this is about $150,000 for the project. So I just want to be open and transparent about what the project is going to entail. I mean, one of the things we heard in the survey was accessibility. I don't know if that means ADA or pathways or getting people access as much as possible. But I want to just be as strategic as possible to get the most play equipment we can with that money, but also some of the other accoutrements that go along with like pathways and cleanup that's going to need to happen. So talked a little bit with Nancy and Kate in our last meeting, and I just wanted to bring that up so that we're all aware. And I think the next steps are to really kind of solidify what we want to see there. Maybe is it focused on an age group? I know color schemes was kind of a big thing, and we'll be working on that with the goal of getting it moving forward with it, taking as much of the information as we can from the survey and applying it to the design. But I want to be realistic about it and just let you know that that's the money that we have, and I want to stretch it as far as we can. So the footprint actually might get smaller
Yeah.
than what's existing there. So I just want to prepare everyone that we'll get something new, but it is going to look different. It might be a little smaller footprint. So, but I think it was a really good survey. I think there were well over 100 people that responded, and we got some really good feedback out of it. So we're continuing forward with it, and I just wanted to mention that's where we're at. Another very exciting thing we were able to do, thanks to our HR manager and other members, is we were able to hire a FTE in Parks. The person came on board, I think, a couple weeks ago. So now we have 3 full-time employees just for Parks maintenance, which is great. So we're very excited about that.
And that still means that they'll be seasonal?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, so they're still seasonal, but just 3 full-time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the goal is to have seasonals during that May to October period, November. But yeah,
Okay.
that's correct, Nancy. Let's see, I wanted to go over a little bit about the 2025-2026 Parks and Rec Board work plan review and remind, before you know it, New Year's gonna be here. So it's in our packet. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been working on and how I think we've been doing a really good job at trying to meet those goals and working through them. There's a goal 4 on parks, and if you read through there, it kind of gives an update on all the different goals that we have for this 2025-2026. And I think we're firing on all cylinders, as they say. I mean, we're looking at action 4.1, hire 1 full-time position for ongoing maintenance. We were able to do that. 4.2, complete nature trail paved loop, nature park paved loop trail. We're working on that. We've got a contract that's getting completed, and we'll be working through that. 4.3, research funding opportunities to complete projects. That's something I'm definitely working on, and I know, Eric, you're going to talk a little bit about that later on, but it's on my plate, as they say. We do have, and I have already started talking about the nature park restrooms and picnic shelter project. That's next step. As soon as we're done with the trail, we'll start the design work for that. Nick Shannon, 4.5. Obviously, we've done the public outreach for that, and the next thing is design and to complete those improvements, as it says. Support the implementation of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board strategic goals. Again, we're always working towards that, trying to engage as much as we can. But there's a lot of just different notes there. I won't go through it all. I'll let you look at it. Some of the highlights, again, Nick Shannon Park. Number 7, the fire risk management in parks. The city administrator Betts has initiated coordination with the Clackamas Fire to work with that. So that's going to be a neat project to get done as well. So just wanted to mention that I think that we're doing our best to work through those goals, and I just want to kind of give you a quick update and share that information that's going to get shared with council as well. So any questions?
I know that, I do on the fire one.
Mhm.
I know that, that Administrator Betts is working with that. Will any of the Parks Board people be included in some presentation or some design or?
I don't know all the details to it, but I think Clackamas Fire is going to basically do most of the assessment and just kind of look at it from a fire perspective, but I'll definitely mention it to her in our conversations.
So eventually something will come back to us from Clackamas Fire.
That's what
and-
I'm assuming, yes.
Okay, and they're looking at the whole city or just the parks?
No, it looks like it's the park system, including Rainerson Natural Area. Yeah, all parks.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I think that's it for business from the city. As we get down through business from the board, I know there's a point where we had talked, Nancy, about the budget and financial state of parks.
If you want to go ahead.
I did have, this is a printout that I printed. That's just the most recent. You can always find this in the council packets every month, but I've highlighted here, and you'll see my highlight marks, my little marks I made on the page, but this is where we're at starting from July of this year. So I'll hand them out so you guys all have a copy, but I think
Did we get your notebook? No.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
we're on track with our budget is the report. If you look at the numbers, I think we're doing really well with all line items. Materials and services, I did highlight the capital outlay. Within that, you'll see the two line items. That is the Metro Local Share Grant. That's designated for the restroom and shelter, picnic shelter project. And then there's a Nature Park LWCF grant. That's the money that will be used for the loop trail. So any questions on this? But this is the most current expenditures that we've been.
So the equipment replacement reserve, is that amenities or is that like trucks?
No, I believe that's like if something was to break, let's say.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if is that our equipment? So yeah, it is Public Works equipment.
Okay. So when so then the maintenance and supplies, that would be like the signs down at Cross and Ames Park that are falling apart. Those kinds of things, that's where that comes out of?
It depends. I mean, it could come out of contractual professional services line item. It could come out of the operations and maintenance line item. It really just depends on what type of work it is and what we need to do.
Okay. So I know you and I were having a little quick conversation over there about like, how much do we really have?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of figures here and a lot of money, but I'm never really clear on what the city has for parks and as opposed to,
So what I have highlighted, starting on the first page on the lower bottom, all the way over to the last highlight mark on the bottom, that's all designated for parks. But don't forget, this is for 2 years.
right?
So we have to make this stretch for the next 2 years.
Does anybody else have any other questions or want clarification? Somebody? Because I see like the summer programs, those are pulled out and maintenance supplies for that. That's something separate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the recreation coordinator. Because I see that really big, nice big number, that 5,504, all that huge number, but I know that that's not what we get to spend.
The system improvement and projects.
Yeah.
The money that we will be spending for Nick Shannon
We'll come out of that.
will come out of that line item.
Okay, but that won't use all of it.
No.
So do we really have then $400,000 sitting there?
Well, it's for the next 2 years. So what
Okay, so
other
200.
any other projects that might come up or improvements that may come up, that's what that money's earmarked for.
Okay, and this is where we could get more of the amenities out of that budget.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Again, anybody have any other questions on that? Thank you, Silas.
Yeah, you're welcome. And like I said, every month that the council packet comes out, you'll see these. And it's not just for parks, it's the entire city's budget.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to business from the board. Nick Shannon, here we are. So everyone had access to the survey and the results, and you've had time to study that and then go look at the park. So when I look at it, I see the big things that I see are like that people are requesting the most are like swings, play structure, some sort of spinning thing, and accessibility for all levels. I know the other one was the nature play area went way high. And that would mean like a wooden structure. I'm not sure that we want, anyway, that's open for discussion because that doesn't have the longevity that one with metal and plastic. So we need to decide kind of how we want to do that. But so, and within that project, Silas was reminding me that, the removal of the sand, the removal of the current play structure, and getting the site prepped also, and then the bark chips going in afterwards, all of that comes out of our 150. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we really don't have as much as, those are really good improvements, having the bark down as opposed to the sand. That's a great improvement. So, and you were talking a little bit about the size of the project, and I think the location of that play area where it's right up against the road and it's kind of wobbly. So that's something else.
Yeah, it's a unique sort of outline.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the material is. It's some sort of a rubber interlocking material that keeps the sand in, but it's not really a square. It's not really a circle. It's just kind of meanders around. But I think I was talking that you had mentioned maybe trying to get the play structure a little farther away from the access road to the Oak Lodge reservoirs, which I think will have that ability for
Do that.
sure. Maybe gain another 10 feet or so, something along that line. So that's something to consider when we get into the design phase for
Okay.
sure. But,
All right.
you know, I don't know what the cost will be for, it's very accessible. It's right off the road, which is an advantage. So we might be surprised. The bids might come in and they might be very reasonable. We might get a lot more for the money that we have earmarked. So I'm staying positive about it, and I would we should stay very positive.
We
as
should,
much as-
we should. Okay. Thanks to Ian, there were some pictures that I sent to Kristen with a couple of play structures. One of them is a very compact play structure, also in a very wooded park, real similar to Nick Shannon. And the other one is a very totally accessible play structure with ramps. So if Kristen can get those up, then we can kind of talk
Yes, I
about the
can.
different features and see what people are thinking. Okay. So this is, so I'm going to let Ian kind of take over. Are you comfortable with doing that?
Yeah, this is a park just over in Clackamas. It has a wonderful mix of stuff for older kids and younger kids. I think we have another angler too, so I'll describe what we can see. But the big swirly slides are always a huge thing. I love the climbing wall, but it's angled enough that younger kids can handle it. We've got some monkey bars. It's got nice tiers, but it's very compact. It's a pretty like a smaller footprint than Nick Shannon. But it has some nice accessible features. It's a little hard to see past the swirly slide, but that slide there, yep, it's up front on this one, I believe is an accessible slide. Like it's meant for multiple people to use at once, and it's got rollers instead of a flat metal surface, so it slows people down a little bit. So yeah, this is I've taken my daughter to a lot of parks. I've played with a lot of kids on a lot of parks, being an after school person, and this is one of the best designs that I've seen.
There's a couple more pictures of
Yeah,
this.
there is. Just trying to stick with his speed on it. And this one I think is a different
Angle.
playground base,
That shows.
possibly. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yep, monkey bars. There's a ladder on the other end of that, and then steps up. Nice underspace. It does have one of the, I think it's like a tic-tac-toe set or something underneath. That kind of stuff seems to be what people put in for younger children, and I have almost never seen younger children actually play with those. They'll like poke it a few times, but unless an adult is standing there playing the game with them, then they walk on to go do the other stuff. There are two like spring horses off to the side. And there's one thing we don't have around here, but I have seen in Beaverton, which is like a single person spinning device. It's basically a pole that's curvy on a swivel, and an adult can stand there and spin. And my daughter would literally spend an hour and a half doing that. small footprint, really cheap, and much lower risk of injury than the really big spinning devices.
Is there more? Are
these
the only three that I sent?
Nope, there's this one.
the
It's just a
play structure over by the aquatic park.
Yeah, this is over at North Clackamas.
And I think there's a better one that shows the entry. That one.
Yeah. This is, yeah, it's ramped all the way up, and the walkways on it are slightly wider than your average. But it is still a really fun park. I've actually, during COVID, I taught out of this park, so I've actually played a lot of games with middle schoolers on this structure. Wide corners, so you could, in theory, get a wheelchair up there, but it's easy to add that slight accessibility. And what I love about this one is those wider ramps allow the younger children. So you can have a 1-year-old toddle up this and have a lot of fun while it's still a good, engaging structure for older children. And I think prioritizing accessibility would allow us to span that wider age gap. Because they're like, I love Max Patterson, but there's a lot of stuff there that younger kids can't quite use. And that was one of our top priorities in the survey was accessibility.
I know, this one has, a bigger footprint because it's like a one-level house takes up more room than, a two-story one. So I think this one does take up, it would be my input that is there. But the fact that it has the accessibility part, I don't know, is a real draw also. Not that we need to make this exact one, but just some different features that we've been talking about. So anything from the board after looking at these?
Ian, Kim here. How often have you seen wheelchairs on this particular structure?
I don't think I've ever seen a wheelchair on this structure, but my sample size is honestly mostly concentrated during COVID and then random park times. But it is a fairly well-used park.
Okay.
There's basketball courts there that are always in use. And then with the aquatic center there, and there's a lot of people living around. It's
Mhm.
heavily used.
I think it's
Thanks.
important as we talk about accessibility that we don't just get fixated on wheelchair.
Fair point. Absolutely.
I
I
think,
was gonna expand that question to, disabled in general.
well, or just people with, when I'm at a park, I also look at like the parents that are with it or the guardian or the parental unit, whatever it is, who's there with the kids, being able to also be on the structure with them. But I think, there's kids that aren't quite, with any group of children, there's ages and stages and trying to get a broad thing that they can all get on there. But accessibility doesn't just mean wheelchairs.
Fair point. Absolutely.
Maybe I have a foot in a boot. I mean, for a short period of time.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
so I think let's not
Good.
get hung up on wheelchairs.
Really good point. I didn't mean to get hung up
No,
on.
that's fine. I think it's a good one to bring out in the open that accessibility makes things, if you make it for accessibility for all, then you've covered everybody. If you don't, then you're only hitting, a smaller percentage of that. But I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So, anybody else? Sorry.
This is Eric. I know another important part of accessibility is also thinking about things like sensory and cognitive
Mhm.
issues. And that looks like a really good design for that as well. It feels very intuitive.
Kate, what are your thoughts?
I just like spinny things. So I vote spinny things. I was at 2 very cool playgrounds in West Lynn a couple weeks ago to check them out, and I quality control tested all the spinny things. They were really cool playgrounds, but much larger
Right.
footprints than what we have. But very cool and had some cool elements to them. But I think possibly with the space that we have, like something compact that's all the climbing stuff, but like you were saying, Ian, like the little spring horses or a spinny post or something, we might have some more space that we can put some of those separate elements around the edges up there, which might be cool. It doesn't all have to be attached to the main play structure because we possibly do have some of that space to work with.
Well, thank you for the examples.
Yeah.
The larger structure was North Clackamas? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's on, yes, the second one was North Clackamas Aquatic Center, and the first one is on Thiessen, just past the Safeway.
Okay, thank you.
I think what's really nice about the one on Thiessen is because it is that wooded, it's also got paths, kind of walking, it must go back into the neighborhoods. So it really gives you that concept of what a play structure in Nick Shannon could look like. So that was what was really nice about that one too. So, I think, and we had talked about what do you need from us to now take this to a design company and say, these are the elements that we're looking for. This is our footprint. This is what we want, to kind of give some beginning things. And then they'll send you back some drawings and we'll pick those apart and send them back. Is that
Yeah.
how we're going to do this? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So some of the things that we need to kind of decide as a starting point is like color. What are the features that we want? Ramp. I know that the smaller compact one, there's always that question, could those stairs have been a ramp? So talking with the design company, can we get a ramp, at least one ramp into that play structure? That might help. Anything and whatever else we think, and kind of give those suggestions, like we want spinny thing, obviously, for Kate.
I think that they'll probably design it with maybe options.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're speaking to, like option A, option B, something along. And so we'll get as creative as we can and then try to pare it down.
So as far as colors,
I like the colors I saw. I mean, something I'm thinking that's going to blend in, taupes, greens, the red that I saw, or the maroon or whatever. That was vibrant. I mean, I liked it. It stood out. So,
oh, I don't know, anybody else on the board, like, I want it yellow? No.
Jim here. I really enjoyed the colors at the, what was the smaller park, the smaller footprint park.
Okay.
I really enjoyed those.
I kind of like the more natural ones. I think that green, the red, so it kind of blends in with that park. Would be a good place to start, as opposed to a bright red, yellow, and blue one. We have a couple of those, so.
This is Eric. I agree. I kind of like they're really nice oak trees. They're kind of lend themselves a nice color palette.
Okay. Features, besides a spin. So we're looking for compact.
Yes, but I think swings came up a few times, so we should figure out some way to incorporate swings.
Yeah, at that park, there's a couple like across the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So,
So, and I think that's probably a fairly easy place to bring in some accessibility. Like one of the parks in Wilsonville that was Boone's Ferry Park has two different accessible swings that were very cool, like just totally different styles. And then two like regular U-shaped swings, and then two of the like toddlery swings. So having just some different options there might be nice, rather than just like one of the traditional swings. Maybe it's, not 6 swings, because this is obviously a much larger park, but like one of these adaptive swings, a regular swing and a toddler swing, just having some variability in there.
This is Ian. I'm a huge fan of, I don't know what to call them, but basket swings. That's like a metal rim with a shaped basket. Yeah.
Tried some basket swings at this one park and took some pictures of them. They were very cool because you could put 2 children in there. You can put 1 Kate in there. I mean, it was pretty, they were pretty great. And I was like, this is very cool. I'd never seen like really cool swings, but I know that was always my favorite thing growing up too. So I'm like, cool swings would
Yeah.
be awesome.
And I appreciate that a kid with like low mobility in their limbs can get in there. You can have an adult sitting in there with the kid without it hurting a lot or feeling really uncomfortable.
Falling out.
But it's also hard to take those swings too far and like throw yourself off and hurt yourself.
Well, and I think a basket swing doesn't have the footprint because it usually has more like 4 supports instead of the swings that can get more distance. Did you? Okay, all right.
These had posts, so they you didn't even need like a 4 thing. It just had 2.
Two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it suspended it between them on like multiple chains.
Yeah, but
So I
don't think
think
it
you could
has
be
the
flexible.
on, yeah, I don't think it has the drops. Is it a drop zone that they worry about
Yeah.
with the swing? You have to have a certain amount of footage, so,
Yeah, because they don't really go very far.
okay. So what I'm hearing is compact, nature colors, spinny, and some sort of a swing, possibly a basket swing. And then ramping if we can get some ramp.
This is Eric. I also liked the mix of different climbing features I saw in the smaller park with kind of bouldering style handholds, and then I liked that other thing that red thing that I'm trying to figure out how to describe.
Oh, the
Yeah.
climbing wall.
Mm.
Yeah,
And that kind of gets us a little bit closer to the nature play area concept, even if it's still kind of a traditional play structure, because it's a little less structured and prescriptive. It's kind of it kind of creates more like climbing features create more opportunities to just do interesting things.
okay. All right. Daniela, do you have anything? Gabriella? Oh, Counselor Blah, do you have any suggestions? Okay, all right.
Oh,
I really like the ramp idea too. If we could put that in there, I think that would really add something to that park that would be a draw.
Okay.
and this is Ian and a slide. A feature I just realized of the engineering of the roller slide is it won't be super slick in the rain because the rain will fall through those rollers. Because I've had my kid shoot out one of those.
And be totally wet.
And especially a lot of kids are like, no, I don't want to sit in cold water for the chance to go down a slide. But
Okay.
if it's in the budget, a roller slide would be amazing.
All right. So did we give you enough to get started on?
Indeed.
Okay.
I have plenty to get started on. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
That was,
Appreciate it.
that was our goal on that one. Okay, I can't wait to see what kind of mock-up you come back with. That'll be fun.
I've already got it in my head. I've got it all
You
figured.
See it right up there. Well, good. Okay. The next one is Eric, who had sent me when we were talking about what should we talk about at the meeting, he came up with these 2 things, and then one of them Jackie Betts is also involved with. So I'm going to let Eric kind of talk about those 2, Community Green Infrastructure Grant and then the Department of Land and Conservation Development.
It's Eric. Yeah, there's been a couple really interesting funding opportunities, very active right now. There's a lot of work in Clackamas County trying to get these both out into the community. The Community Green Infrastructure Grant, which it sounds like Jackie's working on a proposal to do a street tree distribution, which I am 100% in favor of, especially speaking from partly the perspective of having been on the tree committee as well. But that's a very exciting program. That's something that I think is going to be of great interest to the community, and I think that's going to really help us advance our tree canopy goals. And so that's through the Oregon Department of Land Conservation Development, and their grant program administrator has been very accessible and working one-on-one with a lot of people who are interested in applying for the program. So in case that connection hasn't been made, she's worth contacting. She'll help us with the process. Then the other one I was going to mention is the Metro Community Choice Grant is ongoing. There was a great visioning session this spring with a lot of ideas coming from the community and including several that are in Gladstone. And so there's a lot of interest there. And now they're doing a series of community workshops next couple of weekends. I don't remember all the times and dates off the top of my head, but it's on their website. And so that's an opportunity to help turn some of these ideas into developable visions and figure out where they want to prioritize the funding. So that's just kind of putting that out there as a chance for everyone to get involved.
Okay. So Eric, on the Metro Community Choice projects, will there eventually be like a voting so that people can pick their favorites, or will Metro make the final decision?
It's going to end with a voting process, and so especially people who are within the communities that are being served by this grant program, the focus is Oregon City, Milwaukee, Gladstone, unincorporated Clackamas County up to the edge of Happy Valley. And so they're going to be working a lot with the members of the community to, like I said, to develop these visions and figure out the priorities. And then there will be a voting process from the constituency to determine which projects get funded.
Yeah, we've been part of that process, Eric. Jackie Betts and myself have sat in meetings and talked about the various projects that are proposed for the community choice. So, yep, it's moving forward, I think.
Okay. Did any of those fit in with the site plans? Like at Meldrum? Were there some ideas for Meldrum?
I believe there were some, yes.
Okay.
It was all over the city, but yes, I believe so.
Okay, cool. All right. I think that's really exciting. Yeah, I like it when projects come with money. Okay, Meldrum Bar. Um, so, we had talked about all of us looking at the site plan, and that got sent to you. And Kristen, can we pull that up so we're all looking at the same thing? That'd be awesome.
Yep. Okay, 1 second. Takes a minute to get
So
it shared.
back in 2022, the city went through a process of coming up with a new site plan for Meldrum Bar Park. And and this is a really busy picture, so I hope you had a little bit of time with it before. But in the little white boxes, there are the proposed options. Working at the entrance is one of the options, kind of making the entrance a little more agreeable. I'm not quite sure how that works. Parking improvements, looking at parking that is close to ADA sidewalks. That's the next one. Paved path and crosswalks. If you walk down at Meldrum, there's times when you're in a pretty secure place to walk, and there's other times where you're walking right on the road. And this also kind of includes Doll Beach. When we talk about the Meldrum site plan, it also includes Doll Beach. So I'm getting some paved pathways. Some of those are more along the river, especially when you leave the ball field and head out to Doll Beach, kind of bringing the pathway closer to the river so you can actually like walk along and see the river as opposed to on the road. So that's one of those. Sports field improvements. I think that's always an ongoing thing down there, but I think there's some netting is one of the improvements. I also think there's some access. Right now you have to cross the field, the grass to get there. And I think some of the design is to get a walkway out there. Is that what the white one is showing? Out to the ball fields. Event space, which is the one that's furthest over, when you get to the apartment and along the golf course, turning that ball field into an event space, such as a stage where you could have like music events and things like that. The dog area, which is up on the bluff above the east parking lot. Am I right? My direction's right on that one? That's one. Riverfront improvements. I think this is the one that excites me the most, is that right down where the golf and the fields and the community gardens all come in, there's kind of a spot where you go down to the river. and putting in a riverfront access there where there's a big platform for observation of the river, history that can be included up there. That platform sits right across from an island that has some great blue heron rookery in the spring. Lots of birders would come down and use that. And then it kind of connects into the paths going both directions. So it's a real footpath accessible location. And should we ever get the bike path hooked up under Doll Beach, under 99, that would also be part of that pathway. So then we get into like another restroom over towards Doll Beach area, wayfinder signs, a couple of picnic shelters included down in there, and of course the RC track relocation and the BMX bike relocation. So, and where those two are located now, there would be some reforesting and some trails that go through there so people can get back out in the nature of that. So those are the big things at Meldrum. I think when I was going through the site plan and got to the page on how much it would cost to do these, and this was back in 2022, and it was lots of money. So it's one of those things where you think we could eat the elephant at one time. Would be great if we could get one huge grant and just come in and do Meldrum. But I'm thinking we're going to be taking bites out of the elephant, maybe more feasible. So I think helping the city kind of narrow down on what's most important and what we feel we would like to have done first, or what we would prioritize might be a way to look at this. And if other people have thoughts on that, I'm really open to hearing all of that. Or questions you have about the site plan.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, when this was done, like how many, was this a 10-year sort of plan originally? Or was it just a like anytime in the future, we want to do this someday?
I imagine it was just a conceptual kind of using
Yeah.
the space and trying to get the amenities that you already have incorporated into the space maybe more efficiently, or when it comes to parks plans, they're always kind of in flux. But when you're talking about utilities and their master plans,
Right.
yeah, there's more of a 10-year like a lifespan to them. But I don't know, Kate, to be quite honest, but I think they're just trying to really utilize all the space down there with all the amenities that are there
Yeah.
and more.
And it's important to also acknowledge that one of the other features for the park was the play structure upgrade. And so we've done that. So
Yep.
we have one thing checked off on the Meldrum site plan. So, but yeah, so other people's thoughts.
This is Ian. Yeah, it is a lot. Meldrum is already pretty cool, but it feels a little unfinished in some ways. And I think, yeah, it would be amazing for a big batch grant, but I think I'm wondering who we could get as allies, or what chunks of the community we can try and sell certain parts of these to. I feel like the community grants we're talking about would probably be excited about accessibility paths along the waterfront. It'd be amazing if we could engage the RC and bike community for support on those projects. It is a lot, but it's a pretty impressive goal.
I will say too, this is Eric, the watershed councils, at least speak for Clackamas River Basin Council. I'm sure that North Clackamas Watersheds Council too would love to be engaged with the vegetation management and habitat improvements. I know that we did a project at Doll Beach a number of years ago and really did a lot of restoration there. And I know that Rainierson Creek had a lot of investment put into it as well. And so I think there's a lot of interest from us in the watershed world to see those investments protected and build upon that. And we've got our own funding sources for doing that kind of work. And so please engage us as partners.
I know what I know about for sources of funds. There's Metro. We may hopefully have some money from the big, huge Metro grant left over after we're done with the bathroom and the shelter at the nature park. There should be some funds left over. We're not for sure yet until that total comes in. That may be one little source of some funding. The West, the water services, they also have money that comes to the city. We can always do grant applications. I know when you go on the state parks, there have been huge, like they'll take, and I mean, I was looking at one where it also had a boat ramp along the Willamette, and they came in with a huge amount of money and just did the whole park. So I think those grants are out there. I don't know how we position ourselves to do that. We always have private donors. So I don't think the city of, it'll be hard for for Gladstone to come up with that just out of the regular budget. I think we have to just admit that we have to find money from elsewhere. Tourism, when we had someone come and talk about the tourism funds, that stage area, that would definitely fall under that because it would draw people into the city. I don't know if improvements in the ball field, so you could do tournaments, would fall under that too. So I see a lot of really splintered funding, but it's going to be a challenge to kind of get it all together.
This is Eric again. Another one, if we're thinking about doing river access, Oregon State Marine Board has funds that they do for those kinds of projects of things like docks and ramps and things along those lines.
This is Ian. Yeah, it'd be nice if the boat ramp there was a little more open for like kayakers and canoers because it's very set up for fishing boats, which is a huge market there. Perhaps even where the picnic area is on the map, we could have a separate.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be more demand for that as the ramp at Clackamas Park becomes less and less usable.
Not real usable right now, so yeah. So are there some things on here that really, when we look at using the park, what are the ones that we feel the dog park?
Dog park. Okay. So I went to Meldrum a couple weeks ago with friends and we went for a run and then we took a little Clackamas dip and the community service officer was down there giving people tickets, which was great. And so I was like, hey, friend, I just want to introduce myself. And she was super nice. And she's like, this isn't your car, is it? Because I'm going to give you a ticket. I'm like, no, I just want to say hi. But she said she's down there engaging with people all day, every day, and that the number one thing that people ask about is the dog park. And she said she's trying to be pretty lenient with people who have their dogs off leash because she understands there's not really an area dedicated to it. But, technically you're really not allowed right now because there isn't a good spot. And she was very funny. Her comment was just do it. Like, just make it happen. I don't understand why we can't just have this. And, I was talking about money and that we have to find the money and somewhere. But she said that's what she's hearing literally every day from people, users within the park is just, I wish there were a safe place that I could bring my dog because there's not anywhere like that in Gladstone. And personally too, that is definitely the thing that is most interesting to me for the park would be to have a dog park.
This is Ian. Yeah, I think for accessibility, a bathroom over by Doll Beach. I think that should probably be pretty high on the list. Dog park would engage public interest, free up community safety resources, And then a bathroom is also good for environmental impact too, of if people are going to spend the day out there. And those would probably be more internal or smaller sources. And then we could hopefully split off accessibility into maybe another source of funding seeking, and then restoration projects and some of the places that you mentioned, we can try and find money there.
Yeah, that porta potty at Doll Beach is scary.
Kim, do you have any suggestions or what kind of speaks to you from your?
I'm
Okay.
just observing that what a big elephant that is. And just really appreciative of the expertise and background of everyone here but me. I'd like to never mind. I did want to circle back to the playground structure budget at Meldrum since
It does look like an elephant, doesn't it?
since we've already been through this in a certain way. Does anyone recall the budget for the playground structure improvement at Meldrum?
I think it was in the 90,000. Does that
Oh.
sound right, Kristen?
$86,000 for the playground.
That's
I-
encouraging.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the big thing about that one was that the footprint was already there. So that was already done, but
Okay,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, it gives us,
encouraging regarding Nick Shannon.
yeah, it
Yep.
is. It is. I think from my point, I really would love to see the path along the waterfront. I mean, kind of up on the bluff. I know it's not right on the waterfront. I see lots of people down there walking, walking dogs, and definitely the dog park. The parent who had a child who played soccer out there, that was really a scary. Every time you get the kid in the car, you had to kind of check them out to make sure they were safe to go in the car after playing on the field. So yeah, I think like walkability to me, and that deck and platform, I think that would really open it up to people to just have a place to come and look at the river. To me, those are highlights. We don't have anybody up here speaking for the ball fields.
Yeah, Meldrum Bar Park and Doll Beach, I will say is probably we get the most calls and concerns and questions. It's the biggest user next to Max Patterson. And sports events take up the majority of that use. Right now it's soccer. During the summer it's baseball. So those are two big user groups. Nobody has ever mentioned the community garden, but that is a massive footprint
Mhm.
at that park. It is a big facility and it's a lot of users. I hear everything you're saying. I think it's all good. Dog park is something that I'm trying to work on. I know I mentioned in the past the area that has the old fighters training area. I'm hoping to repurpose that fencing possibly or do something, but it needs to align. What I don't want to do is kind of put the cart before the horse, so to speak, where you build something and then it gets taken down or people get used to it and it needs to get, so that's why you make the plan. And I hear what you're saying, where you can take little bites or you can try to make improvements here and there. Ideally, on the sports field, it'd be nice to get the artificial turf in so you could really get some tournaments and get some other leagues in there and stuff. Takes out the whole irrigation, takes out the whole maintenance component of it. It's different. But I don't know if you can do that close to the river. The other thing is the rivers, as you know, Eric. Those are two major rivers in Oregon that border the park. So there's just a lot of dynamics going on down there. And I hear what you're saying, and I'll do everything I can to work towards making improvements. Open to grant suggestions or applying for grants, but definitely need to be cognizant of all the users, sports being a big one, community gardens, still working on the erosion control for RC cars. I have that in the works. But dog park, Kate, that's definitely something that's, I think, next on the list. I'll do my best to try to make something happen down there, at somewhere, whether it's in the footprint that is on the plan or doing something, but, can't promise it'll happen this year, but
Oh,
it's
no.
definitely on my to-do list for that park.
I think we all recognize that this isn't something that's going to happen quickly.
Sure,
But if in fact the site plan has an expiration date, then we need to be really cognizant of that.
sure,
That we start, because nothing, I'm just looking at the nature park, the trails and the bathroom, how long that's taking, even though the money is there.
sure.
Just how long it takes to get that project going and completed. So what I'm hearing people kind of talking about, dog park, restroom, riverfront improvements, that trail, sports fields and paved, that paved cross, being able to walk safely would be huge. I know the bathroom would just eat up a lot of money, but those seem to be the ones that people are,
Yeah, bathrooms are a challenge because you need infrastructure. You need a wastewater line, and Doll Beach is kind of isolated, so you could probably get water down there, but it's the wastewater aspect. It's gravity, so it's gonna want to run downhill, as we know. So that might mean a pump station, and that the money just starts going up. I don't know where our lines are off the top of my head, but that would be a challenge, and that's why we have the scary porta potty down there right now.
Yeah.
So, but definitely, it is a neat park, and it gets a lot of use. So I'd like to see something happen, but it's going to take time.
it does. But I think we were trying to just kind of, I think my plan was just to try and
Yeah.
narrow down what we feel are the highlights.
Sure.
And Counselor Blah, if you have anything, please jump in. Can you do composting toilets? Is that something you can do in a floodplain? I know
Well,
we're dealing with that
we
floodplain.
don't have a composting, but we have a vault style that gets pumped currently. I don't know when it was put in, but it's down by the boat.
Yeah.
ramp.
So I didn't know, is that cheaper than a one with water and facility?
Yeah, it's much cheaper, but it's just like a very
Yeah,
nice
like,
outhouse, more or less. So, but
Still a toilet. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. But I didn't know if you could, well, yeah, I guess if you have one at the boat ramp, you could do it at a floodplain.
It's there now, but I don't know what
Okay.
current regulations are. I can't speak to that.
Grandfathered in.
It's
Oh, was it
grandfathered in.
I think so.
Okay, so maybe that wouldn't pass muster now.
Speaking from painful firsthand recent experience, doing anything in a floodway is hard.
Right.
Anything in a floodway is hard.
Just the little erosion control I want to do around the RC needs to go to the planning commission. So that's the process I'm working through right now, just to get erosion silt fencing in place. So it does get very complicated when you're in floodplains.
So maybe the restroom moves down on that list a little farther. But, and just keep scary porta potties.
I think Nancy, your point is taken. We need to definitely look at the plan and make sure that if there's a timeline, start talking about it. And if there's some things that we can do, definitely put that in our sort of vision for the future, maybe the next 2-year goal planning session, things like that.
Kind of look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't sure, I know that, what Eric was talking about with getting more green out into the community, that whole process. And I know one of the things about putting the dog park up on that bench is it does back up against the trailer park that's up there, the mobile home park. So getting maybe trees and the green in now, if we have access to that, so that it can start growing as kind of a buffer
Mm.
and shade for the dog park. I mean, so that would be another use of, and I don't know how far the watershed goes up into Meldrum, if it's just right along the bank.
I think the line is about kind of the divide between Doll Beach and the Meldrum. So it basically kind of runs due north through the golf course. I think Meldrum is pretty much entirely out.
Oh, okay, all right.
But that's Nickwick's territory though, and they're great to work with too. We work with them very closely.
Okay. So looking for partners would be a good idea too there. Okay, all right. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to say about Meldrum? I feel better. I know Meldrum comes up so often and I just feel like, what do you do about Meldrum? But I feel like if we can like organize it and get it like some sections where we can actually approach and start making progress, that would be a good thing. So, all right. Anything else anybody wants to say about Meldrum? Counselor Blah, you look like you might be going to your microphone there. I wasn't sure. No, okay. All right. And we talked about the parks budget and the financial state of the parks. Anything else from the board? I have noticed how the parks have looked a lot better this summer. I really appreciate the crews. I've seen them out more. They're doing a really good job of engaging people when they're emptying garbage, and just out there working in the parks. I think that helps a lot to handle some of that behavior that happens. I hope that helps. Patterson, again, was a hot spot, my lord. But I appreciate all that the crews did. It really showed.
Thank
I
you. I'll
think
pass it on. Thank you.
Between the seasonals and the park rangers, like it's looking good out there and people are enjoying the parks. I also chatted with one of the park rangers, which is my favorite title that they have. His name was Jace, super nice, and just kind of talking about like what he sees in the park and, how his day was going. And, yeah, I watched him extremely tactfully have people pour out their alcohol. Like, just really, it has felt really good this summer.
Mhm.
Like as the kids say, like the vibes were there, the vibes were good in the park. And I think that's a huge credit to the seasonal workers and the park security who are really out there all day, every day. So thank you.
All right. Business from the audience.
We do have Bill Dugan, but I think he was just kind of running off of you guys if you had questions. So,
Okay.
but if you would like to speak, you can.
I don't know if everybody's met you, Bill. That's really good. Bill Dugan is, he's one of I'm going to let you tell because I will blow it. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
Just make sure to push the red button there on the microphone. Yeah.
My name is Bill Dugan, and I think I'm supposed to give my address, 4728 Southeast LaCour Court, Milwaukee, Oregon. And I'm the manager on behalf of the Robin Hood Riviera Property Owners Association for the Renierson Natural Area. And I've worked with the Renierson Creek in the natural area since 1994, when we first put in the restoration project, the first restoration project. And then it didn't work as well as we thought it would, and we were having some issues, and it was our association and the city that sat down together. Pete Boyce was the city administrator at the time, and said, we are the landowners here. The association owns about 10% of the area. The city owns 90% of it. It's 33 acres total. And so we sat down together and said, let's come up with a design for this area. And so we did that, and we got underneath the umbrella of the Portland Harbor Super Fund. And I don't know if do I need to explain that at all?
No.
So we came up with the design. It was constructed in 2017, 2018, and we're in our 7th year of the performance period. And after 3 more years, it'll go into a stewardship phase, where there's a fund set up to maintain the area into perpetuity. And it's called the Renierson Natural Area for the reason that it is a natural area. It's not a park. It's part of Milton Bar Park, but it's not part of it. It's not intended to be a park or an area for a lot of people to walk through. It's intended to be for nature, and it's really serving that purpose. It's a gym right next to the river, and with a lot of wildlife in it, and beavers, deer, mink, eagles, osprey, just all kinds of wildlife. And it's a really great area. So I think only Nancy and Bruce have seen the area. And so I would like to say, if you'd like to, if you're not familiar with it, I'd be glad to take you on a tour sometime at your convenience to show you what the area is really like and what's there. And as you're looking into the site plan, one thing that concerns me is we've spent millions of dollars. I don't know exactly how many millions, but we've spent millions of dollars to develop this natural area into a natural area. And we need to be careful in your planning for Milton Bar Park is not to put something right next to the natural area that sort of works against what we've been trying to do for many, many years. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to field those.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Bill?
How do you spell Renierson?
Renierson.
Rainier.
Renierson.
Right.
Okay.
People pronounce it different ways.
Okay.
Peter Renierson and John Meldrum were one of the earlier developers of this area.
Okay. Oh,
And that whole Milton Bar Park at one time was part of it was owned by Meldrum and part of it was owned by Renierson.
oh, okay. All right.
So
Thank
there's
you.
quite a historical background to that.
Appreciate that.
Anything else?
I'm good, but anybody else have questions? I know it's a lovely tour to take. And it's fun to stand out on somebody's deck and look at all the wildlife that's down there. So if you do get the chance, we're going to have somebody else coming on the Parks Board, somebody new. So it might be good to get the newer people when they get on board.
One thing I didn't mention was fish. The problem we had with the project that was done in '97, what's now the Toyota dealership wanted to put that dealership in, and they had to mitigate. So we in the city agreed to that restoration in '97, but it didn't really handle fish passage. So that's what we had to change, and we did change that. And now we have a salmon in the pond. They're rearing, going downstream. They're not there to produce more fish. But we do have all kinds of salmon and other kinds of fish in there as well, and they can get in and out anytime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a great project. That's nice. Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
coming.
your work.
Always appreciate seeing your name that you're listening to our
You by
park.
Zoom.
Yes, you do. I'm aware of that. And I thank you.
Thank
Keeping
you.
us honest. Thank you. Is there anything else then from anyone? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Kate motions we adjourn.
Kim seconds the motion.
Okay, thank you. Our meeting is adjourned. Oh, and the next meeting is on October 13th.